My name's James Bollinger. I practice in Thousand Oaks, California. I've been a specialist in endo for 31 years, and my experience with endo to endo has been a little over a year, starting in 2023, I believe. And Rick was a lecturer there. And so we met him, talked to him, and thought that this would be a good thing to do, which it was. I think our desire was to be more productive with less stress. And Rick's emphasis on efficiency and his experience helped us with both those things, stress and the efficiency and production. So three things. It's improved our clinical efficiency and our procedural efficiency at the office. From the time the patient calls until the service is delivered, it is just much more efficient than it was prior to that. So he was able to streamline those things. Our procedure time is shorter, it's more efficient, it's less stressful as a rule of thumb, not just one particular person, I guess. So that translates into, more money, more time off, less stress at the office. Well, I'm impressed with Rick as a person and as a teacher and as a clinician. So as a person, has always been there for us. When we had a question or a text or anything, his response time was very good. As someone who knows what he's doing, we went to his office and watched him, and what he says is real. He's the most efficient endodontist I've ever seen, and his organization and training of the staff was very impressive, and his clinical skills just made it easy, smooth, no stress. Philosophically, I think he wants to balance endo with his personal life, and he recommends books to that end and things like that. So it's the whole package. It's from the intake call to the goodbye, and I've never seen a more efficient endodontist than him. And watching him work, he's very tranquil. He's very smooth. So I'm impressed. I learned a lot. After 31 years, I learned a lot. Well, the client support is fantastic. Their front office spoke and supported with our front office when we had a front office type of question. With respect to clinical questions, I would text him whenever something like that came up and had an answer, sometimes within minutes, but always that day. So I couldn't ask for more. Number one, is the most efficient and organized person I've met. Number two, he does it on a daily basis. He's not talking from theory. He physically does it. He's in the trenches. He's not, I've had a number of, I'd say courses over the years that are by organizations, management courses, but they're not there feeling what you're feeling and doing what you're doing daily. So he had an answer to every question we had and was nurturing us as a coach. That's my experience with it. The other thing that I thought was very impressive is his goal is not to make you into him. his goal is to be an asset for you to get the practice to the point that you want to reach. His goal is to improve your life, your practice in whatever way you define it to be, not this arbitrary, you must be like me thing. So that was great. The product is great. He will make your practice more efficient, less stressful, more productive, and give you more time off if those are your goals. If you want to just work all the time, well, then good luck to you. It was a pleasure to interface with Rick and to see someone that has balanced his life in terms of time off, focus at work, and efficiency at work, and reducing the stress of work. He kind of brings it all together as, someone I would want to emulate, because endo is stressful, no question about it. And he's able to do it with equanimity and handle supporting other endodontists that are trying to improve their practice. I'm very happy to provide it because it's very true and he's very deserving of it. The summary of the whole thing is that there are kind of 3 or 4 areas. One is practice management. There's nobody better than him. Number 2, his staff was phenomenal. And a lot of them were trained with no experience in the dental field. And we were up there just a few weeks after he replaced some staff. And these staff were phenomenal. How he did it, I don't know, but he's got a gift for that. Every procedure, every movement he makes is done for efficiency. He doesn't waste movement. And it seems normal, slow, and you don't know until you check the clock and it's over that he was that efficient, So his utilization of staff, the choreography of the office, I would recommend anybody that enrolls to make the time to go up north to witness this, because you wouldn't believe it until you see it. It's kind of like that. I was telling Gentle Wave people that were visiting my office, I said, I respect Rick on all levels, as a person, as a teacher, as an administrator, as a trainer, and as a clinician. You just don't get better. So without reservations, I would recommend that any endo office do this. It's going to pay benefits and dividends for the rest of the practice life. We thought it was fairly priced and over-delivered. He delivered more than what we were thinking we were going to get. He took a lot of information about our practice, looked at our schedules, analyzed the schedules, made recommendations, and was there for problems in implementing the recommendations, and provided clinical input when we had a clinical question. Like, how do you do things so efficiently? Which files do you use? What sealer do you use? Technical detail. You're saving money, you're reducing stress. I would think, if I were to guess, probably under a month. A big deal. Tell Rick hi for us when you talk to him, and tell him glowing things, because I have nothing unglowing to say. There's no caveat. It's all great, but no, it's just all great. Yeah, his mindset is phenomenal. You know, I mean, we experience stress, you know, and he doesn't. He puts it in context in overall life. You know, this is a tooth and this is a patient, and he has equanimity when he practices. We get stressed, you know, we feel stress, and he's either doesn't feel it, contextualizes it, or hides it, one of the three. But he's very smooth. And trying to get the team to do that, particularly non-dental team, uh, is a phenomenal testimony to his teaching skills and leadership skills. Because, you know, if you just see it, it's all flowy and wonderful, but unless you've tried to get your office there, you don't know what it takes, you know. So my hat's off to him as a leader and a teacher, that we appreciate everything he's done for us and look forward to years of friendship, if nothing else.
I am Taylor. I have worked for Dr. Simcox's office for 1 month and 1 week exactly today. Um, I have a background in medical and recently decided to make the jump over to dental. So this is the first dental office that I'm working in. I would describe my experience at the office so far as exceeding expectations overall. The systems in place in the office, the quality of patient care, the cohesion of the team, everything has exceeded my expectations so far. My interaction is really good. I'm really impressed with the amount of time he takes to make sure that every aspect of the office is working well. We had a meeting as a front office team last week where he talked us through how the back makes decisions on what teeth do and don't need root canals, and what we can be saying to patients, and how we can streamline the scheduling process, and just the amount of time that he takes to make sure that everybody in the office is on the same page and we're running as efficiently as we can is really impressive. I do feel very empowered as an employee. Even in the short amount of time that I've worked here so far, I've been very encouraged to use my best judgment when scheduling patients, go with my gut with decisions that the front office makes around scheduling. I feel like they've encouraged me to step outside my comfort zone and have given me like the space to make mistakes, I guess is a good way to put it. I feel empowered to try, but never punished for making a mistake when I try something. Dr. Simcox's office culture as a team that really trusts itself. The back office team is super well knit. The times that I've watched them do procedures have all blown me away because it's like they can read each other's minds. They just know what the other wants. They know how to support each other. They know how to support Dr. Simcox. They work so well with us in the front as far as helping us manage the schedule, helping us know what can make the back office run better based on how we're scheduling things or how we're communicating with patients. It feels like a collaborative effort across all regions of the clinic, and it doesn't even really feel like a front office and a back office team most of the time. Most of the times it feels like we're all on one same team and we're just playing very different zones. We did a front office meeting with him last week where the fact that he took the time to really teach all of us, but me specifically being the newest member of the team, he took the time to teach us about why root canals get done, the history of a tooth, why teeth need root canals. And I just think that him taking that time to make sure that I understand the work that I'm doing, even though I've only worked here for such a short period, really shows a dedication to the team. What I would say for me, especially sets Dr. Simcox's office apart from other offices I've worked in, is the total trust he has in every part of the team to do its job well. He has a very high bar for excellence in the office across all of the team, whether we're in the back office or in the front. He really expects all of us to be bringing our 100%, but also trusts that we're doing that. He doesn't overly micromanage. He understands that we know how to do our job, and he trusts the team to act in the best interest, not only of the practice, but also for each other and the patients. And just that level of trust in the team that he's built is very different from other offices that I've worked in. What makes Dr. Simcock's office a great place to work for me is, again, his dedication to build a team in an office that works well together, supports one another, and is all showing up for the same goal. We're all showing up to help grow and maintain the practice. And by doing that, we're giving patients the best care that we can. And that, above all else, just his absolute dedication to taking care of patients, but also taking care of his team in the process, definitely sets him apart for me. Dr. Simcock's office has affected me outside of work in the most positive way in any job that I've ever worked in, especially in a job where we're taking care of people and providing patient care. I used to go home from my clinic jobs just absolutely emotionally exhausted, couldn't rest or relax when I got home from work, dreaded going into work the next day. And I haven't had even a moment of that while I've worked here so far. Of everybody in the office, I have the longest commute. It's about 40 minutes. And at no moment in that 40 minutes of my commute am I dreading coming into work. Am I thinking about, oh, this commute isn't worth it for the job that I'm doing? It never feels like my days drag, or like, oh, I'm finally getting to go home, and my whole drive home is just, I can't believe how horrible my day was. So in every conceivable way that a job could be good for you outside of work, this job has been, because I don't have to think about it outside of work. When I go home, I'm at home. I'm not carrying stress from the day with me, and I'm not coming into work stressed about what the day ahead is going to look like. The one thing that I would definitely add is I'm so impressed by the attention to detail in the office. It Even in the short month that I've worked here, I haven't found the systems to be overly complicated. I haven't found the processes to be convoluted. Everything runs so smoothly, and it's 100% because of the attention to detail the entire team has. And I'm just, every day I'm blown away by how well the practice runs. I would say the one thing that really sets this team apart from other teams, though, is the absolute confidence we have in one another to do our job the best that we can every single time that we do it. There hasn't been a moment where I've had to wonder, like, oh, did someone not do their due diligence checking this insurance? Well, if this is the insurance quote we've got, I know that my fellow associate did the best work that they can do. I never have to wonder if I'm gonna like stumble into somebody else's mess, or if someone put something that wasn't true in a file and now I'm having a difficult conversation with a customer because, or with a patient, because someone else said something that wasn't correct for the way that we do things. I know that everybody's coming in and doing the job the best they can, and not having to worry about picking up other team members' slack definitely sets the team apart. I know that everybody's doing their best, and that helps a lot.
My name is Dr. Jason Calvert. I am an endodontist in Oakland, California, and I have had an excellent experience with Dr. Simcock and endo to endo coaching. The main challenges that I was facing before signing up with endo to endo were really centered around our office getting busier and what I would call scheduling chaos, um, and being inefficient with the way we brought patients in. And secondly, we had recently started using Gentle Wave, and we wanted to figure out a better way to integrate it into our practice. And Dr. Simcock really helped us a lot with those things. Dr. Simcock helped us overcome a lot of these challenges. Number one, by helping us to see what's possible. So we were kind of locked into the old ways of doing things. I just kind of took over for the dentist who I bought the practice from and kept scheduling kind of the same way he did, and didn't really change a whole lot over the last 20 years or so. but kind of having the mindset that there's other possibilities for scheduling and training staff, and seeing Dr. Simcock at work in his office also just opened my eyes to sort of just all the possibilities that an endodontist can have with the way they schedule patients, the way their staff is trained, and increasing their efficiency and reducing their stress. What sets endo to endo apart from other similar coaching options, to me, are two things. One is you're working really closely with the doctor himself. Dr. Simcock, he's a practicing endodontist. Seen him work. He's a great endodontist, and he is excellent at training his staff. And he one-on-one coaches me and my staff. And he has some other support people that help him too. But there's a lot of one-on-one time. There's direct communication between me and him when I need it. And so that's something that I think is different than a lot of the other options. The other thing is his use of gentle wave in his practice. We use gentle wave, and it's highly integrated with the way that we schedule patients and the way that we run our practice, and that's the same way he does it. So those two things I think are extremely valuable to me. The customer support for endo to endo has been absolutely top notch. Dr. Simcock is extremely responsive to questions or calls, and he himself is really the one you interact with the most. I've texted him and called him on several occasions, and he gets back immediately and gives his very valuable advice. So I'm really impressed with the customer service at endo to endo. The most valuable or impressive part of our endo to endo experience was probably going to visit Dr. Simcock in his office and watching him practice for a day, and watching not just him, but how his staff handled treating patients, and the excellent customer service that they provided, and also just the incredible efficiency that they demonstrated in seeing a high volume of patients, but also treating everyone at a very high level, and not wasting any time. So that was probably the biggest impact on me, was going to watch Dr. Simcock in his office and learning what is really possible. A specific example of how Dr. Simcock's coaching has had a huge impact on my practice is the concept of giving up control. And this was a tough one for me, and it still is something I'm working at. But realizing that your staff can be trained to do a lot of things that you think you need to do. And the customer service can still be excellent, and the patient care can still be excellent, but the staff members can be empowered to do more than just the basic things that I had have them doing. And so just training them to do extra things like go over post-op instructions and interview the patient prior to the doctor coming into the room, training the assistants to use gentle wave. Those are just some of the examples of how our practice has become more efficient after training with Dr. Simcock. One other thing I'll add about our experience with endo to endo is that it's not just about the doctor to doctor training, which is extremely helpful. But when you start to change things and modify and improve your efficiency and modify how you schedule patients, the staff really needs help and training. And they have been extremely supportive of our staff. Dr. Simcock himself and his staff have helped our assistants and receptionists to adapt to the new way of doing things. And without their help and their training, it would have been a big challenge for us to figure out, we know the doctor stuff, but we need help with training the staff, and they've been a huge help in doing that. So would I recommend endo to another endodontist? Yes. The endo to endo program has really made a huge impact on my practice. We're much more efficient now. We're much more profitable. My staff is happier because we've empowered them to do more. I feel less stressed, but at the same time, I've I'm busier than ever. So I would highly recommend endo to another endodontist, especially someone who's been practicing the same way for a long time like me and who doesn't really want to keep doing the same old thing for the rest of their career. This has really been a boost to my morale, and it's made me excited about practicing endo for the next 15 years.
I would describe the culture at Dr. Simcox's office as super positive, healthy, very predictable, which is why I love working with him. It's just very meticulous and well thought out. Dr. Simcox has supported my professional growth by just being a super supportive leader. He's always so consistent with his expectations and so positive and supportive with everything that he teaches us here, and just really, really positive affirmations from him. It's such a well-oiled machine here at North Sound Endo. We have a script, we stick to the script. Everything is extremely well thought out and meticulous, and it just runs so well. There's never any questioning what you're doing or why you're doing it. It's just consistent and predictable and great. Dr. Simcox's office is a great place to work because there's such a positive culture. We have a really great team. Everyone supports everyone. There's no drama or everybody just lifts everybody else up and supports each other, and everybody knows what they're supposed to do and when they're supposed to do it, and everyone goes out of their way to help everyone else without being asked to. We just kind of are intuitive and all lift each other up when we need each other. Dr. Simcox's office has affected my life inside the office essentially by not affecting it at all. I feel really good and really positive. I know exactly what's expected of me. I'm able to just come in and do my job exactly how I did my job yesterday and exactly how I'll do it tomorrow. And there's never any guesswork involved, which is super nice. Dr. Simcox's office has affected my life outside of the office, again, by not affecting my life outside the office. I'm able to do my job, clock out, not think about work, go home, enjoy my fiance, enjoy my stepkids, and not think about work until it's time to clock in the next day. And I know exactly what that day is going to be like.
I'm Eunice Nabipour, and I'm an endodontist out of East Bay, California. Dr. Javidan was at our practice giving our staff a little mini lecture per se of how to integrate Gentle Wave into the practice. And when she was at our place, she was talking to our office manager, and she mentioned that some things were out of sync and they need to reconnect with Rick. And I said, "Who's Dr. Simcox?" And they told me a little bit about it. And then I think I reached out to, and then we ended up connecting and coming out that way, and brought a couple of our staff and watched them work for a day and signed up on it. But the challenges that we were facing was just the days were more stressful than they needed to be. We weren't doing that many cases, but yet we felt like we were running around all day. And we just wanted to change that up, because we knew that wasn't like the only way to do it. We were doing things the way they were done 30 years ago by our predecessors and our friends, et cetera. And we're just kind of scheduling in that pattern per se. And I think that's what it really was. At the end of the day, Jason and I were both exhausted. We were tired, and it wasn't fun. And I wanted the next 10 years to be fun. Endo to Endo has helped us overcome those challenges by changing the way we schedule and by increasing our staff, by basically taking the load off of our staff and getting an easier and better flow. By having less sides, that's the most important thing. We're not running around going back and forth. And I think that's where the stress was, where we're just focused on treatment mostly. And we do a few consults on the side, but we focus more on treatments. But I think that's the biggest change, is that by having a few more staff and by not having multiple columns, everybody is more relaxed and the flow is much better. And at the end of the day, we joke around and we go home. What feature aspect I find most valuable would be actually our time in his office. I think without that, we wouldn't have been open to change. You know, we had to see it in action. And I think once we came and we saw him work and the flow of it, and you know, just the ease of everything, and having our staff be there with us, you know, both front staff and back, and having them see the entire thing from beginning to end, I think that was an eye opener. And I think without that, we just wouldn't have moved forward. So I would say that's the most important thing. I would recommend endo to endo to my colleagues because it works and because it does make your day flow much easier. And it's just a better way to practice. Rick helps you think a little bit outside the box. Doesn't, you know what I mean? Just kind of not do everything as you do it and not think that you have to continue to do things as you're doing it. You know what I mean? You could always just look at things and reassess and maybe completely change things around if necessary. And just be open to that change, essentially.
What attracted me to work for Dr. Simcock's company was how organized everything was. You immediately felt the energy once you walked in, and it wasn't ever anything chaotic. And I had worked at other offices prior, and there's just a significant difference in the feeling of the office and the flow of the workspace. Dr. Simcock has really helped my development and in this company and just in this field of dentistry by having a lot of trust in me. And he doesn't micromanage. He's there to guide me when I need it, but he allows me to kind of figure it out myself. And I feel like that really allows me to step out of my comfort zone and grow along the way without feeling like I'm under a microscope, and that trust really goes a long way. What sets Dr. Simcock apart from the other offices and other doctors I've worked for? His office, it is a private office. I've worked for corporate before, and it just is a different vibe for sure. Corporate is it's not as personalized to each employee, and it's not as warm and welcoming, and that's such a good thing to have in a private office. And Dr. Simcock's very generous and very open to change. And if there is something that needs to change, we all as a team were able to come together and make a plan. And he's very gracious about the process. The team dynamic at our office, we all trust each other. So that's a really great thing to have. Travis, our office manager, manages the front, and myself being the lead assistant, I manage the back. And it's really nice to have him and I collaborating together. But everyone else still feels safe enough and to come to either of us if things need to kind of change or we need to switch gears. It's a very open type of dynamic that we have here. North Sound is such a great office to work out because, again, everything is so organized. So I can just come in, do my job, and because there's a way to do things and it's very predictable, I can come in, do a great job, feel like good about the work that I do, and then go home and not feel like I'm taking home any stresses of the day. Working for Dr. Simcock has affected my life outside of the office in a positive way because I am able to come in and do my job and not feel like I'm taking home anything Well, I like working for Dr. Simcock because I'm able to just come in and do my job and not feel like I have to bring home any stresses throughout the day. We get off at a reasonable time, so I'm able to have a really good work-life balance and spend, the time that I have outside of work with my family, my friends, and do the activities that I actually, enjoy outside of work. And it's a fulfilling balance.